What's going on? Digital Robinson is back. The Edmodo account is back up and running. Ran into a few problems, but nothing that we couldn't solve, so now it's over. And here we go again. So tonight we're going to talk about turning word problems into expressions and equations. Not too complex, but you just have to know what you're looking for. So we're dealing with expressions and equations, so that means that we're dealing with algebra. How do you know that a question involves algebra? You should know that if you see a letter, and we know letters we call variables. So let's jump right into it. Okay, so first thing we need to realize is the importance of the algebra marriage. That's what I call it. I call it a marriage. And we know that a marriage is when both man and woman are bound together. Well, in this case, we're not talking about man and woman. We are talking about number and letter. For instance, 3x. This is not 3 with a multiplication sign. This is 3x. We know that x is an unknown, and we know all unknowns, we represent them with letters. It's a variable, all right? It's something that we don't know. We don't know the value of it yet, so we put an x. It's a variable. And the number that's tied right next to it is called a coefficient. So those are two vocabulary words for you to remember. Anytime we have an unknown, we represent it by using a letter that's a variable. And when we have a number right next to it, that's a coefficient. Now, if you notice, there's no sign in between them. There's no division sign, addition sign, subtraction sign, multiplication sign. It's just 3 with an X right next to it. And I like to call these two married. They're actually married and they're connected to one another for a reason. It's a very important reason. When we're dealing with algebra, we don't really use the multiplication sign that much. So 3 with an X right next to it, that just means 3 times some number. Okay? So you're not going to see it written like this, 3 times some number x, because this just looks crazy, all right? 3xx, that just looks crazy, all right? So you're never going to see that. So when you see 3 and an x right next to it or any other letter, you just know that it means 3 times some number. Now the 3 could be anything. It could be $3 times something. It could be 3 strawberries times something. But just remember that it's 3 times some number, and that's very important for what we're going to do tonight. So the same thing here. We have another variable and we have another coefficient. Now it's 5. So once again, we have that marriage again. And in this situation, you should know what 5x means. And of course, it means 5 times some number. Remember, the x means some number. We don't even know what this represents now, but we know it's 5 times something. Okay, so let's move right along. Okay, so why is this important? So this is very important when we go and we read word problems and we turn them into expressions and equations. We have to think about that marriage and we have to know what's getting multiplied. Or should I say, which numbers should be tied to a variable. So let's do an example. Okay, it says Mike wants a new cell phone plan. Sprint has a one-time setup fee of $34.99 and a monthly service charge of $25. So write an expression to represent how much Mike will be charged for M months. Okay, so what do we have here? All right, we know he wants a cell phone plan, and now I see this is very important. Sprint, they have a one-time setup fee. One-time setup fee of $34.99. Okay, so that's one thing I gotta pay. I know I gotta pay $34.99. Okay, cool. But is that it? No, I gotta pay something else. So if I have to pay more than this $34.99, I'm gonna say, okay, I gotta pay $34.99 plus what else? Okay, then it says, so Sprint has a one-time setup fee for $34.99 and a monthly service charge of $25. Okay, so I also gotta pay the $25. Cool. So now it says it wants me to write an expression to represent how much Mike will be charged for M months. Now, this $34.99 I only have to pay one time, but this $25 I have to pay this monthly. So that means I have to pay this every month. Now, I don't know how many months Mike's going to have the cell phone for. Maybe he'll have it for 1 month. Well, if it's 1 month, I could just leave it 25 because that's 25, 1 month, and that's it. But what if he keeps it for 2 months? Then that's going to be 25 two times, which is 50. Well, what if he has it for 5 months? That's going to be the $34.99 one time and then $25 times 5 months. So what can I do here? This is where our marriage comes back into play. I could say 34.99 plus 25M. As we know, in the problem, M stands for months. So what exactly do we have here? Okay, so once again, I have a one-time setup fee, $34.99. I'm going to have to pay that regardless. But then I have to add on the amount that I pay monthly. I'm going to pay $25 monthly. So if I only have the cell phone for 1 month, I can plug one in for M. So that'll just be $34.99 plus 25. And I'm going to put parentheses a 1. And now I'll multiply that by 1. So 25 times 1 will be $25 and then plus the $34.99. But what if I said, you know what, I'm going to keep this phone for 2 months? I still got to pay the $34.99. But now I have to pay $25, but for 2 months. And now I would do 25 times 2, which would give me $50 for my monthly fee. And then I still have to pay $34.99. Now add these two together. So once we have this set up here, it's cool because all we have to do is figure out how many months we're going to keep the cell phone for and plug in that number here. If it's 1 month, I'll plug in a 1 like I did here. If it's for 2 months, I'll plug in a 2 for the M. Remember, it says M months, so M stands for the number of months. So I've just set up an expression that I could use to figure out what will my monthly charges be, depending on how many months I hold the phone for. Okay, so let's go here. So this is the same problem. Mike's want a new cell phone plan. Sprint has the one-time cell phone fee. Now, notice that this $34.99, it wasn't attached to a variable. It wasn't married because we're never going to multiply this because this is only paid once. And a monthly service charge of $25. So our expression we said would be $34.99 plus $25 times M. So I'll put the M right next to it. I don't need a time sign. So this is our expression that we have. And this will tell me how much that Mike will pay, depending on how many months he keeps the cell phone. Okay, so now let's take this a bit further. So now let's use what we just built to figure out something. Okay, it says if Mike pays a total of $109.99, how many months did he keep his cell phone? So how many months? So we're looking for this M. We're trying to figure out what this M is. Okay, so I can do something like this. I could say $34.99. Remember, this is how much I'm going to pay, plus $25 M. Now, they're giving me a total that he paid. So let's say what the amount I'm going to pay equals $109.99. Remember, this is what Mike's going to be charged. And the problem said, well, if Mike pays a total of $109.99, so let's say if what I'm going to be charged equals out to be $109.99, how many months? So now I have to solve for M. How do I solve for M? I have to get rid of two things. I have to get rid of this $34.99, and then I have to get rid of this 25, and then I'll have M alone on this side. This is basic solving equations. So we know I'm going to get rid of my constant first. I'm going to do minus 34.99. I'm going to get my line, and he's gone. Whatever I do to one side, I'm going to do to the other side. 34.99. I'm going to get 0, 0, 5, cancel him out, 7, 75. Bring down my equal sign. Equals what's left on this side. Remember, that's gone. I have $25. M. So one more step to do. Still got to get rid of the 25. How do I do that? Let's divide by him. Because this is multiplication, $25 M. So I'll do the opposite and divide. Because 25 divided by 25 is 1. He crosses out. M is left over here alone. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other side. Now 75 divided by 25 equals 3. So now I know that M equals 3. So what does that mean? That means if I come back up here, M is equal to 3. So this means that I must have kept myself, or Mike must have kept his cell phone for 3 months for it to be 109. Well, let's see if that makes sense. Well, we said he pays $25 a month. So, okay, so 25 one month, 25 another month, and 25 another month. That equals to $75. Wait a minute, but I thought he paid 109. Oh, but we forgot about the one-time setup fee of $34.99. So if I take the $75 and add that setup fee to it, $34.99, I in fact do get 99, 9, 7 plus 3 is 10. I do get my 109.99, and there we have it. So this is how you change a word problem into an equation. Well, an expression first and then an equation. You have to set it equal to a value. So the main thing is to find out first what gets this marriage. What number deserves to be tied to a variable? And it's usually going to be something that you have to pay over and over and over again. $34.99 didn't have a variable attached to it because you just pay it one time and then you're done. This $25, you have to pay it month after month after month. So it's being paid over and over and over again. So you have to attach that to how many times you're going to pay it. And that's pretty much it. You have 3 problems to do tonight for homework. It's in the file that I attached on your Edmodo account. Try your hardest. And once again, just see if you could find out which number deserves that marriage. Which number needs to be connected to that variable. Try your hardest and then solve the equation after that, and you should do fine. Math's so easy.